All right, what is up, guys? Welcome to a new episode of TA Tech News Weekly. We have Benji once again joining us today, and today's topics we're going to be talking about Samsung and the S24 lineup and whatever else comes to mind. So, Benji, how are you, man?
Doing great. Yeah, you?
Ah, doing good, doing good. Staying busy, between this channel and now I'm opening TA Gaming again. So trying to do some new stuff, but yeah, I'm doing well. Couple new things coming in the next month or so we'll see how it goes. I have some ideas to um do something new. Uh, like I said, with TA Gaming and TA Tech as well. So, new adventures.
Exciting
But
stuff.
yeah, what about you, man?
Well, same old, same old. I'm planning on going back to doing some live streaming. We were talking about it
Oh,
before recording,
yeah.
so that's going to be exciting. So for those who aren't subscribed to me yet, better subscribe because we're going to do some pretty sick live
I mean,
streams.
if you're not subscribed to Vinovi Tech, you're following the wrong people. If you're following people like Unbox Therapy, you're following the wrong people.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
But yeah, so man, I feel like like I feel like we just discussed Samsung not too long ago, and now here we are again. And I feel like that all the time with new product releases, whether it be Samsung, Google, Apple. I just feel like the year flies by so fast,
It's
and
crazy.
like we're not done talking about one device, and we're already talking about another. It's like what?
Yeah,
So
it's a crazy world
yeah,
when it comes
man,
to
the world
tech.
of tech
Yeah.
is crazy. I think I discussed this uh the last episode or the episode before that. Um, I would really love to see a biannual release with these devices to give us more time with the devices to um to review them and just give more thought into it.
Yeah.
I feel like we don't have a lot of time with the new devices to actually enjoy them and put them to our full potential. And then new devices come out the next year, and it's like, what,
I don't.
man?
Yeah, I don't think that's exactly the problem. I think it's the problem that smartphone tech has kind of reached its peak now.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I mean, a lot of consumer tech in general. Like, of course, now we're starting to see more AR and AI stuff, but it's
Right.
mostly software now. Like phones can only be. I mean, it's a slab of glass. They can only be so good. Um,
Yep.
and then all that you have to do after that is just improve the software. So I think it will make
Right.
sense for companies to start releasing phones every other year, just because there's not really much of a point. I mean, we're seeing it
Right.
even with other products like AirPods, for example. They don't release new AirPods every year because there's not really
Exactly.
much to add every year.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
I think before we see phones, I think we're probably going to see things like the Apple Watch probably skip years just because it's a less selling product in a way, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Um,
Definitely.
and then maybe one day we'll see phones as well.
Mm.
I think they're gonna get rid of phones entirely within the next decade or so
Oh, that
because
would
of
be interesting.
AR.
Oh yeah,
Because if you
definitely.
have a headset that does everything, why do you need a phone? Why do you need an Apple Watch?
True, true. I honestly said that about the Apple Watch and about smartwatches in general. A lot of people who pay for the data for the smartwatches, whether you're going to the gym or and something like, you don't necessarily need your phone. And I feel like so many people are like that. I kind of thought that it was going to be, you know, a thing where the smartwatch takes over. But yeah, I definitely see AR and just everything taking over.
Yeah.
Um, Now we're reaching uh, Samsung territory. What What are your thoughts for the next lineup?
Just a sec. Your audio cut out. Okay, now I can hear you. Repeat that again.
What are your thoughts for the next lineup of Samsung devices?
Honestly, it's very underwhelming.
Yeah,
Yet again,
yeah.
it's Samsung. Like, I hate people who complain about Apple about them
Mhm,
releasing the same phone year over year over year when
mhm,
Samsung's just in their
mhm.
corner and they've been doing the exact same thing except worse, I'd
Yeah,
say. Like, if you
yeah.
think about it, the Galaxy S22 Ultra compared to the S23 Ultra, there's not really that big of a difference. Apart, the only
Nope.
thing that changed is like the cameras and it's maybe slightly rounder.
Mhm,
um
mhm.
it's going to be the same thing with the next generation. Like, there's just looking at the specs and comparing it to the S23 Ultra lineup, the S23 lineup, it's just about the same,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
Getting same-ish display, getting pretty much the same cameras, except they're downgrading the telephoto lens on the what's it called, on the instead of a 10x telephoto, they're going to go down to 5.
Right, right.
In fact,
Um,
I made a short. I don't know if you saw it, kind of
yeah, I
mocking
did.
Samsung.
I did.
They're like they're copying them with a titanium as well, and they're also
Mm,
copying them with a camera. It's like,
that's
this sounds
crazy.
familiar. why are they why are they doing this?
Again, I think, like you said, there's just not much more for people to do, and so um, I think once one company, I mean, we've seen it. Once one company does it, another one follows, and I think that's just going to be the case. I've always personally said that the only difference with phones is going to be the software, um,
Yeah.
and like in terms of design, not even like features. Because honestly, like when it comes to features, a lot of devices do the same thing. So you know,
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want me to quickly share the screen with the spec list that we've got?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Right. So this is kind of like the spec sheet on GSM Arena. They're a pretty reliable, like, source, I guess. These are kind of the renders of what the S24 Ultra will look like. As I
Mm,
said, pretty much the same. And then it'll be made out of titanium. This is the regular S23 and S23 Plus, I guess. So we're gonna get 6.2-inch display on the S24, 6.7 on the S24 Plus, and then on the 24 Ultra, 6.8-inch display. So like the S24 is going to be kind of a meh smartphone,
mm,
and then you've got the
mhm,
S24 Plus, which is going to be kind of in the middle. In fact, both the S24 Plus and the Ultra will be getting Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, which is the latest Snapdragon processor. Then the
mhm.
S24 is going to get the Exynos 2400, which is a pretty bad processor. I mean, it's Exynos. Um,
Yeah.
Cameras 50 megapixel, 12 megapixel, and 10 megapixel. So we've got primary, ultra wide, and telephoto on the standard and the plus, and then we're going to be getting a 50 megapixel telephoto. Oh, so
Mm,
there's two telephoto lenses, which is interesting. Why do they have a
yeah.
10 megapixel 3x telephoto and a 5x 50 megapixel telephoto?
That's
Like,
so weird. That is
that's
so
very close
weird.
info. Like, 3x and 5x are very similar. Like, I've got an iPhone
Yeah,
14
yeah,
Pro and a 15 Pro Max, 3x telephoto, 5x telephoto. There's not too much of a difference.
yeah. That
Um,
that's weird.
yeah, that makes no sense to me. I mean, even like the 3x telephoto is 10 megapixels. Like, at least make it 12. I don't get
unless
it.
that's a, I mean, unless that's a typo of some sort, but I doubt that. Um,
No, and I'm pretty sure it's legit. 'Cause I think the current ones are the same. And then we've got, and like they say, megapixels don't matter. When it
mm,
comes to like
mhm,
top flagship devices, megapixels do kind of matter because a 48 megapixel camera on the iPhone will outperform a 100 megapixel budget phone. Like it's
yeah,
night and day difference.
for sure.
Especially since most smartphone cameras, even if they've got 200 megapixels, they're still like downsizing to 12 megapixels
Right,
in your Photos
right,
app. So unless you
right.
shoot in RAW, but even then, like megapixel count, if the 12 like the 12 million or however many megapixels, um, you can have 10 very high quality megapixels or 10 very low quality megapixels, and you're gonna they're
Mhm,
although they're the same, you're gonna tell the difference. Same if it's 48 megapixel low quality and 12 megapixel high quality. Like the 12 megapixels is gonna be better, clearly.
yeah.
It's all about the computational photography. Selfie camera, 12 megapixels across the board. 8 gigs of RAM on the standard, and then 12 on the um, S24 Plus and S24 Ultra. Wi-Fi 6E on the standard. Wi-Fi 7. Oh, we're also getting ultra wideband on the
Ooh,
Ultra. I'm not sure if they already have this, but basically it'll allow for easier like, oh, ultra wideband's like the 5G one, the 5G thing, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And then, or maybe no, what was ultra wideband? I can't remember if it's the 5G or if it's the like the chip to track stuff. Anyway, it is what it is. And then we're also going to be getting 4,000 milliamp hours, 4,900, and then
That
5,000. There's no word on whether this is going to be if these are going to have Qi 2 wireless charging, which is the new standard that just came out, which basically is MagSafe.
right.
Um, and then we're going to get standard aluminum, I think, on the base models, and then titanium on the S24 Ultra.
Interesting,
So
interesting.
basically, they're basically copying Apple at this point
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
5x telephoto and the
I'm
titanium,
telling I'm telling you, man. They
and also making the screen flatter. That I
yeah.
no, I must say that is a nice improvement because like
Oh,
the
yeah, for
current,
sure. I
like
mean,
I've used phones with curved displays and they suck. Like they look cool. It's a cool
yeah.
concept, but practically it's not it.
No, no.
Absolutely not it.
I mean, I even had the rounded edges on iPhones, and dude, like I so prefer the flat edges now. That even holding like I still have friends that have iPhone 10R and stuff, and when I hold their phones, and I'm just like, bruh, this is not it for me,
Yeah.
not anymore.
I mean, I
So
think for
I feel you on
in
that.
terms of display, yeah, I think in terms of display, having a flat display is nice. But then of
Hmm.
course the corners, like the thing I love about the 15 Pro Max is just like the
Ooh,
corners. I mean, I've got a nice case on here. This is a
that
commodity.
is a beautiful
I don't know what.
case, man.
It's really nice. Zach Talks Tech actually featured this in a live stream, and I was like, let me reach out to them. They ended up sending me a case, but it's really,
Ooh.
really nice. It's made out of actual real wood, and it's got Kevlar inside it, which is sick.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know.
but it's got like a curved edge to it, so like it's very nice to hold.
Yeah.
It's very nice to use compared to the I would show you, but the 14 Pro, which I'm using right now for this, it's kind
Yep.
of like it has that. It's not that comfortable to hold for long periods of time just because it's sharp.
Mhm,
But then we've
mhm.
got the other extreme with like the 10R, which is very slippy. By the way, it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's nice to hold, but I
I,
think I understand
right.
what you mean about with the slightly curved screen. I mean, it's not curved per se, but it kind of is. Um, like, I think if I had to choose between this kind of shape, this shape, and the 14 Pro, I think this is
Yeah.
nicer.
Oh yeah.
And
For
the
sure.
cool thing about the S24 Ultra, let me share my screen again here, um, is the fact that like you're gonna have like the edges aren't gonna be flat exactly
Mhm.
flat, but there's gonna be like a slight curve. Um,
Mm.
so
Yep.
it's easily holdable, which is nice, especially since like the S24 Ultra is a big phone. Same with
Right.
the 15 Pro Max, and you don't want to have a big phone that's hard to hold.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
It's also gonna
Um.
have narrower bezels, but I don't know if they're gonna be as thin
Ooh.
as the 15 Pro lineup
What are the
because apparently the 15
prices
Pro
on
is
that? Do
the
we have prices yet?
yeah. So I mean, of course, it's not confirmed yet, but according to Tom's guide, the the current 799, 999, and 1199 price points are going to be the
Ooh.
same for
Okay.
this next generation of phones. Um,
Okay.
and it's interesting because in the UK it's going to be 850,
Yeah.
1050, and then 1250, which means the 15 Pro Max is actually cheaper than the S23 Ultra, S24 Ultra. Which is
That's.
quite interesting because people say, "Oh, Samsung devices are cheaper than iPhones." Yes, if you
Mm,
get the budget ones, of course. But also, like, if we're comparing I think the regular S24 is going to be a terrible value. Like, if you think about it, like it's gonna have it's not gonna have the Snapdragon chip. It's gonna have an Exynos. It's not gonna have the best display. Like, considering it'll be costing 850, like you might as well at that point get an iPhone. An iPhone 15 is gonna be better.
mhm, mhm. Yeah.
It just will be. Like at iPhone 15 or even the 15 Plus you can get for an extra 50
Yep.
bucks instead of getting the
Agreed.
S24.
Agreed. Agreed.
And you get a bigger screen.
True. Which honestly, man, I keep holding people's Pro Max, and like I have the 13 Pro right now, as you know.
Mhm.
Um, and like my godfather and other family members have the Pro Max, and when I go to hold that phone, I'm just like, man, like I don't know, do I really want a phone like that big in my pocket? But at the same
Yeah,
time,
honestly,
it's so convenient at the same
it's
time.
yeah, it's nice. Like I was scared when I switched to to the Pro Max because I was like, it's gonna be too big. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
fit it in my pockets and stuff. But honestly, like you get used to it, and going to a smaller display now sucks. Like I had the Pixel
Mhm,
8.
mhm.
Actually, I still have it. I'm about to return it, but it's like such. It's so small. Like it's a perfect
Yeah,
size. Like it's nice to
right,
hold. It's nice to use. But the 15 Pro Max, there's just something about the Pro Max phones that just make it like you've got that bigger display. You also have the better camera now on the Pro Max with the 5x telephoto, which you don't get on the regular one.
right,
Um, which I mean is the only exclusive feature really apart from the bigger display. But also the battery. Like
right.
I think
Yeah.
the reason you would want to get this as opposed to the regular Pro is just the battery. It's
Mhm,
so much better. It's literally night
mhm.
and day. Like my 14 Pro struggled to end. I had to charge it before ending the day on most days, and it got worse when I was out in Texas. I was literally constantly on my phone the whole time because I had to keep track of the doors I knocked and things like that, and I had to like show people the how the system worked and everything, the stuff that I was selling. Um,
Right.
and I needed to have a battery pack with me at all times, like this Anchor one,
That's
or I even ended up getting the Apple one, which sucks in the heat, by the way. Don't use MagSafe chargers in the heat, but like, yeah, it was so inconvenient. I had to charge it, but the Pro Max, like, I don't think there's been a day. There's probably been a couple of days where I've had to charge it like midday, not midday, but like almost nearing the end of the day, like in the evening
right.
before finishing off the evening. But
Yeah,
it's
that's
rare.
kinda
It
like
rarely
me.
happens, and it only happens when I'm like actually using it heavily. Like I'm
Yeah,
outside, I'm constantly on maps, things like that. But I
right.
can get away without charging this phone during the
That's
day, and
crazy.
it works fine.
I
And
have,
it's nice to have the bigger size.
oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. I've honestly been taking, like, by a long shot, I've been taking care of, the 13 Pro, um, but, like, I feel like now with the latest update, I feel like I haven't had this good of battery in so long. I don't know what it is, but now it's just so much better. But like I feel you. Like if I charge it once, that's probably it. And honestly, whenever I'm in the car with my mom or whatever, I'll plug it in just to have CarPlay so I can play music. Um, and that's it. Like, and I
Yeah.
charge
I
it.
mean
I
the
charge it every
13
night.
Pro,
But
yeah, I mean the 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max were like the best performing iPhones in terms of battery. Like the
oh
14
yeah,
Pro lineup was just a dumpster fire. It was a disaster. The
yeah.
15 Pros are much better. Like as I said, like this thing lasts me the whole day, get to the end of the day. Normally about like 20%. And sometimes if I go to bed late, then I'm pushing it to
Mhm.
like 5% or something. But it it doesn't die. Like the thing is hard to
Now,
actually kill on regular usage every day.
now, do you charge every night,
Yeah, I charge
regardless
every
of
night.
battery, battery
Regard
percentage?
regardless of the battery, yeah. Because I wanna
Gotcha.
wake up in the morning and have full battery in case I need to go somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, which makes sense. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, man. Like, I really think they're improving. I really think they're improving. Now, what do you think from last year? What do you think could be improved on with, um, in terms of anything with the Samsung phones?
Well, I think they definitely need to add more features. Um,
Mhm.
like, right now, the Samsung Galaxy lineup has just been stale the past couple of years, honestly. Like,
Yep.
I think probably since the S21 Ultra or the S22 Ultra, whichever one added the S Pen. I think no, even before then, like there's not
Hmm.
really much of a difference. Like if I pull up Galaxy S21 Ultra, let me share my screen here. I mean, the only thing really that has changed, um, yeah, whatever, use my location. Let me pull up a picture of it. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's the cameras kind
Hmm.
of changed. I mean, now
Yeah.
you no longer have this weird bump thing. You just have the three individual. But see how
Which,
similar it looks. Like this is
yeah.
S20, and then here's the S22 Ultra.
Yep.
Um,
Which I would love to see that on the iPhone. Like, I would love to see that little bump go away. Because honestly, I see a need
the
for it.
on the 15 Pros, it actually does seem a bit smaller. Um, It would be nicer though. It would be nice if they made the phone thicker just to accommodate the thing. But most people are gonna have the case on the phone anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, true, true. I mean, I don't know. Like, I just think, what else is there? You know? Um,
Yeah, here's a leaked image of the S24 Ultra. See, and
hmm.
then
Hmm.
this is the S23 Ultra. Like, can you tell a difference?
No,
I can't.
no.
And I mean, with the
I mean,
S21 Ultra, you've got the yeah. It looks kind of similar, but not really. Like you've got the big
no.
thing here, but
Yeah,
that still it's the same. Like same cameras,
right.
it's just it looks slightly different, and even I think even the S20 Ultra. But I think the thing that kind of makes me mad though is how everybody just judges a phone based on like, oh, it looks the same as last year's. But I think they're just missing the point because, like, yes,
Hmm.
of course, tech's gonna get to a certain point where there's gonna be minor changes, and like
I,
realistically, the only thing you can do is add, um, what was I gonna say? Is add like software features or change the design to make it
yeah,
look different. Because if they change the design, then everyone's like, "Oh, there's so much difference between these phones."
right,
Unless it's an
right,
iPhone, because then the
right.
Android fanboys will be like, "Oh, the iPhones look the same since the iPhone 6," which is
Dude,
not entirely
I
not true. But
swear. Like, even my parents, when I switched from the 12 Pro to the 13 Pro, they're like, it literally looks the same. What's different about this thing? And I'm just like, well, you know, better battery,
yeah,
better whatever, and like. it's a
And I
small
guess
thing.
that's
Yeah, you can't necessarily see it, but it's an improvement. You know.
yeah, and I
Um,
guess that's pretty much the only thing that phones can do apart from software and AI features is they can constantly improve on the battery, they can constantly improve on the cameras, they can constantly improve on the display, and that's about it. Like,
yeah,
yes, you can
literally.
change the design, but then the problem is when you change a design, you'll have people that hate the new design. Like, I
Hmm.
remember when we
Hmm.
switched to
Hmm.
the iPhone 10. Yes, everybody loved the redesign. They're like, "Oh, finally something new, something fresh."
Yeah.
But there's a notch, so now it sucks. Same thing goes
Hmm.
for when they switched over to the dynamic island. They're like, "Oh, there's no more notch, but dynamic island it sucks. Like, why is it there? Why don't they get rid of it?" Everybody's gonna complain about the camera, about the designs. Even when we got the triple lens camera or the
Oh
double
yeah.
dual lens cameras, people were like,
Oh
"Oh,
yeah.
it looks ugly. It looks weird. I don't like it." We've gotten used to it now,
Now,
and
now you
and I
have it.
think if they keep
Especially
changing the design, it doesn't feel like the same phone anymore. Like if you were
right,
to
right, right.
completely drastically change this phone, it no longer looks like an iPhone.
Yeah,
But this is
exactly.
the brand. The way it looks is the brand. It's the branding. Same goes with Samsung, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, the S20 Ultra looks absolutely disgusting. I'm just looking at another picture here.
Oh, dude, I can't stand
What
that.
were they thinking?
I really can't. I could not stand looking at that thing.
But I mean,
Like,
yeah, the S24 lineup, it just seems like a very like they could do a bit more. I honestly I don't know what they could have done more.
mm,
Like maybe they could have actually made the cameras a bit better and actually try to compete with Apple because as of right now it doesn't
yeah,
look like they are. Like
no,
I think I can't wait to see a smartphone that has triple or quadruple lens system and all of them are the same like quality, like megapixel count, which means they can all record in this like video in the same quality. Like that's something that
mm,
I've loved about iPhones is it's capped to 4K. Like yes, they could go up
mm,
to 8K with the 48 megapixel sensor, but I think the reason why they're not is because then you couldn't use the three lenses that you have because
true,
one records 8K and the other two are only 12 megapixels. So
right.
I think it would be nice to see like if Samsung's main lens is 200 megapixels. I don't know why they just wanted to have a high megapixel count because apparently that makes the camera better. Okay,
Yeah,
um, but then the others are like completely different qualities, and
it's
it just doesn't make sense. Just make
right.
it all the same quality.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Even if that means making them maybe all 550 megapixels, but at least like the main lens can record in almost the same quality as the other lenses.
Yeah, yeah,
Like the ultra
exactly.
wide is just as good. The telephoto is
Right,
just as good.
right. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, we'll
And
have
also,
to
I guess,
see.
yeah, I guess we'll also have to see because we've heard like the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip is going to have
Yeah.
some exclusive AI features. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do with that as well.
So I saw something on Twitter and talking about Snapdragon. What are your thoughts on it? And like, do you think that it'll? I heard somebody say that like it would do better on Apple devices that versus the M, series of
Oh
chips.
yeah.
What are your
No,
thoughts?
so yeah, I mean I think I know what you mean. Like the last Snapdragon event, they kind of compared their latest chip to, I think it was like an M1 or M2. But then Apple literally released the
Hmm.
M3 chips a week later and they've completely destroyed all of them anyway. But I think it's good
Yeah,
though that Snapdragon is now starting to move on to the like the computer side of things as well because their chips
yeah,
are capable. Like they're almost on par with Apple's mobile chips.
hmm,
Like they're very good, efficient. Um but there's a big difference like the advantage that Apple has is that they make their software and their hardware, which means they can build the two things together. They
yes,
can um,
yes,
optimize both things together. When Samsung, on the other hand, they can't do that anymore. Like they used to have their Exynos chips, but then they just decided to give up. That's something that Google's trying to do now with Tensor,
hmm,
even though there's rumors that they may be going back to Snapdragon. Hopefully not. I think
mm,
they should maybe should partner with Snapdragon to make a chip built for their phones. Just like
yeah, Yeah.
like Apple's processors, at least up until recently, they they don't make their own chips themselves. They have
Right.
TSMC.
Right.
I think they used to have, I can't remember what other company, Qualcomm as well. They had a number of
Yeah.
different manufacturers. Like, of course, they designed the chip, but then they were manufactured by someone else. So I think that's
Right.
kind of what, and I think Google actually has Samsung design their make theirs. I think they're Exynos processors, but they're just
Mhm.
rebranded. Um,
Mhm.
so, but I think I think that's something that Samsung has to do. Like they need to
Yeah.
start to they
I
need to
definitely
divert
agree.
from Android and stuff like that because who knows, they could end up being like the next Huawei. Something comes out and they just ban them from the Play Store and things like that, and then they're just stuck because they don't have their own OS.
Right.
Like
Right.
that's
Right.
going back to what you were asking before about what I think Samsung can do. I think they should start going back to make their own chips, make them
Mhm.
better
Yep.
because if they build the hardware and the software and everything, if they build the whole experience from the ground up,
Mhm.
they've got a really good competitor to the iPhone. But right now they're
Oh,
restricted by a
absolutely.
lot of the things. They're restricted by Android,
Absolutely.
which it's just a lazy move in my opinion. I mean,
Yeah.
you could create your own OS and have the Play Store on there,
Mhm.
but they
Mhm.
just decide not to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
I
I feel
definitely agree.
like I'm just going off on.
No, dude, I agree. I agree. Everything you're saying, I agree. Um, you know, I don't know. Like, I feel like there just needs to be some changes, and like, honestly, doomed if you do, doomed if you don't, kind of thing. Like, I feel like people are always gonna have their own opinion. People are always gonna complain. People, whatever. But honestly, like, yeah.
And also, I think Samsung, like, they're really focusing on competing against Apple. Like, they're making
Mm,
fun of them left,
mhm.
right, and center, and then copying them. Then you've got Google, which I think is slowly coming from behind, and I don't think they're going to overtake Samsung because, of course, Samsung is still very dominant
No,
in like
no.
third world countries and smaller markets,
Mhm.
but they're getting there. Like Samsung's budget phones, like the S, not the S, like the Pixel 6a, Pixel 7a, those are really, really good. They compete
Oh yeah,
really,
for
really well
sure.
against phones in that market. And then you got the flagships now. The Pixel 8 Pro is an
Mhm,
incredibly good smartphone. Like, of course,
mhm.
it maybe the processor could be a bit better, but the way that Google is handling the whole smartphone thing by making their own software, making their own hardware, and now they're trying to make their own chips and things like that, kind of
Yeah.
copying Apple in that aspect, I think is really good
Mhm.
because that means they can optimize it. They can have the best
Oh,
Android
absolutely.
experience on any phone because they
Absolutely.
literally own Android. And Samsung is just
Absolutely.
they're just over there snoozing and they're like, "Oh, we need to release a new phone. Um
Dude, it's
Let's make
like
the display flat and let's add titanium. And actually, yeah, 5x telephoto, that makes sense. Yeah, let's have a 3x and a 5x because that makes complete sense.
it's
Oh,
I
well.
don't know. I've honestly like yeah, I mean, I can't really talk. I mean, honestly, the only Samsung phone I had was the S3. But I just didn't like the experience with it. I did not like the experience with it. Hardware was beautiful, I think. S- Software was good, but could have been better. I don't know if it was just my experience because a lot of people I would talk to um, would say that they didn't have half the problems I did. So I think it was just um, my carrier experience and just software itself. I mean, everybody has their own problems with the software. So I think at that time things weren't as good as they are now, obviously. Um, and so for me, I would never go back to Samsung, regardless of people saying, "Hey, it's gotten a lot better." I mean, I've tried it, I've seen it, not my thing. I think when it comes to Android Pixel, Google would be number one for me. Um, when I go to Portugal, I mean, I deal with people who have Huawei, so that would be another one. If only they were here in the United States, which they're not anymore. But do you actually ever think that they'll ever uh, come back, or do you think it's just gone for good?
Nah, I don't think so. Especially if Trump gets back in office, they're definitely
Yeah,
not gonna make a
true,
comeback. No, but also
true.
like I think Huawei is a good. I think they make good products. Of course,
Yeah,
they're not
and I
available to everyone, but they also make their own. At least I think they're making their own software. I don't think they're using Android anymore. Um,
no, they're not. They're not.
they've got their own software and stuff, so they're kind
Yeah,
of building their
and
own
it's
type of
beautiful.
kind of ecosystem over there in China.
And
Um,
it's beautiful. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
yeah,
And my cousin said that he had I can't remember what watch, but he has a Huawei watch, and it lasts like I don't know how many days on him, and I'm just like, what? Like Apple, Google, all of you learn something. Like it's so
Apple
incredible.
Watch Ultra lasts
Yeah,
3 days.
yeah, exactly. If every
Samsung doesn't
watch
have a watch that does that though.
if every watch had a version like the Apple Watch Ultra, um, which kind of brings me to a question that I wanted to ask you. What's next? What do you think is next for Apple Watch? Um, I mean, I'm hearing that there's not going to be too much of a difference for the next series. Hopefully, that's not true. I don't know. Um, I would love to see a flat display like we have on the Apple Watch Ultra come into the regular watches. Do you think that's gonna ever be possible with, Apple Watch 10 or
I mean,
uh,
yeah, since
whatever?
since next year's Apple Watch is going to be like yeah, Apple Watch Series 10, I definitely hope they make something good out of it because we
Yeah,
can't have the same design every year. Like
no,
yes,
no,
the Series
I'm
9
done.
is a great watch. I love it. The design is great, I think right now, but I hope that next year we're going to get like a complete redesign. I really want to
Because
see the action button brought over to the regular models
yes,
cuz like
yes,
the action
yes,
button on
I
the
agree.
iPhone 15 Pro, like people hate this thing sometimes, but if you use it right, if you link it to Siri
Dude,
shortcuts, I've got literally mine. It changes every time. Like if I have, depending on the focus mode I'm in, it will do something different. Um,
wow.
and you can basically do the same thing with the Apple Watch Ultra with the action button on there. And I
Hmm.
hope that they bring it to the other Apple Watches. And I would honestly, if they made an Apple Watch Ultra that was smaller,
Hmm.
I'd get that in a heartbeat because like
Yeah,
I've got
yeah.
so many bands. I don't want to end up having to buy the new
What are your
size because I've got the
what are your
41 millimeter
yeah?
watch, which is the
What are your
smaller one.
thoughts? What are your thoughts on the band mechanism changing?
I mean, I hope it doesn't change simply because I've got so many watch bands, and I'm not the
Hmm.
only one. There's people that have even more. Like I think it could be better,
One sec.
but I hope
Go ahead.
okay. But I hope that they kind of keep the same mechanism, but they change it slightly because I think as of right now, like yes, it works. It's great. It is a little annoying sometimes having to take the bands off and like having to press the button and then slide them off. But I think they could probably kind of still keep the same sort of mechanism, but maybe add some like magnets instead of having the little pin thing that you press. I don't exactly know how that would work. Um, but making it a little bit not easier, but like yeah, easier to take off, but that's still like quite hard to take off. So then like your watch isn't flying off the band kind of thing. Um
Right.
I don't know. I mean it would be nice to have a little bit of a change in that, but we've had the Apple Watch for 9 generations now. It's had the exact same band mechanism since the beginning. You can still use OG Apple Watch bands on the new ones, and they're gonna look perfect. Um,
Look at how many I have. Like,
yeah, it's quite the collection. I won't show you mine because mine's, well, there's a lot of them.
oh damn. Yeah, I have a lot of them.
Last time I counted, I had like 30.
Damn. I mean, I don't have that much, but yeah, damn. Um, let me. I only have one. I only have one phone here, so I had to
You have to switch it over.
improvise. Yeah, I had to switch it over because I wanted to
Yeah,
show
but
you.
I think kind of going back to Samsung a little bit, because I mean we're talking about Apple Watch and stuff. Like
Yeah,
even the Galaxy watches looked pretty much the same for the past couple
yeah,
generations. Actually, no, probably since the beginning. Actually, um, like you've got you had the rotating bezel. Now they don't really have that anymore. Um,
right.
and then also they switched from Tizen now to Wear OS, and I think Samsung is just going backwards. Like they should just stop focusing on,
Yup.
like, now that they've kind of got the design for the phone down, it works. Why don't you
Mhm.
start experimenting with your own software? Bring back Tizen OS or call it something else. I don't know, One UI OS or Samsung OS or something, and just start creating your own stuff instead of
Yeah,
going and piggybacking off of Android,
yeah.
which
I definitely agree. I
you have
definitely agree.
limitations with. It's
But
it's just a no brainer.
yeah, yeah. No, I definitely agree. I definitely agree. But let us know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you, Benji, for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed.
Great.
And if you guys enjoyed, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel. That would be awesome. If you guys want to follow me on my social media and Benji on social media as well, I'll have links down in the description. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the next one.